rigging is actually so oh my god. Okay, listen, Emmy, I got you. If you have rigging questions, I'm your bitch. Okay? It's me. I suck at it. However, I've done it. I've done it, and I take commissions doing it. So I can tell you rigging right now. I can give you the free class. Okay, hold on. Let me close this shit. Because apparently we're talking rigging right now. There we go. This is one of my commissions that I actually need to update. And again, I'm not a professional rigologist, you know, but this is still, despite the flaws, one of my favorite models. And one of the things that I like to do is a further range of motion, which I think kind of looks better than like when it just barely turns, you know? I updated this model actually because the commissioner wanted a new outfit, so I went back in. Since it was like my first commission ever, I went back in and updated it and made the hands move and stuff like that. This is her. Now, I also have... Oh, this model actually is my new favorite. Heh, I lied. This is my new favorite. I'm so sorry. They're best when you look at them in VTube Studio, but I can't show you right now. So another thing that I like to do is also create like extra shadows and stuff. So you see like when she bends down, her head casts a shadow over her body. Because I think that makes it look more dynamic. Then I also like to make sure I have something for like the side and back of the head, so when they turn, you know, you can get that full range of motion. How many bones? There's no bones. That's not how it works. You just have like all the parts, and then you just move the parts. You create deformers, and the deformers are these little box guys, right? And then you can move the parts by manipulating the deformer, and that will tell the model how to move. So like if I have a bunch of different deformers to have this motion happen when she turns this way, and now the model knows when I turn this way, like all of my parts look like this. Does that make sense? The boxes overwhelm me? No, it's really not that hard. So there's one that I'm still starting on. So I think, well, actually this one has nothing done to it yet. All I did was throw the model into the program. So this is a better one to show you kind of what to do. First things first, I like to make sure that all of my layers and stuff are named properly. You know, you want to name it for exactly what it is. And then, like I said, I like to make sure I draw as much underneath as I can. So this way, if the model turns to the side or something, you know, you can see all that. So you see like how he has this hairline and stuff. It just gives me more freedom in regards to the movement. The next thing I need to do, right? You throw the model into the program after you have all your parts. And again, like if you have any questions, you can always just DM me on Twitter. Plenty of people do that. Like it's really not weird or anything. But yeah, so we have all these parts, right? And now what you have to do is sort of go in and let's find an example. This little nosy. And then you hit this button, okay? To edit the mesh. And this lets you plot all the little vertices. So this way, when you move it, it just moves better. It took me a long time to really understand how these work, and now I get it. Depending on how you make all those little vertices, it determines how it moves around when you add the deformers and stuff. So if I were to plot this little nosy right there, just the little ball of the nose, okay? And now I'm turning Angle X is turning left and right, right? Just this motion. That's angle X. And angle Y is up and down. I put keyforms on the parameter. The parameter is the thing that contains angle X. So the parameter is what contains like that motion, or angle Y, or angle Z. You know, these are all called parameters. They're basically your layers. And then when you plot the keyforms are the different points in the motion that's happening in the parameter that basically your model references when it moves, right? The keyforms are more similar to an animation, obviously. So you see it's at 0. And then if I go all the way to the end, it's at -30. And so now I can move the little nosy, right? I know it's gonna look stupid, but that's fine. And now you see, so when he turns this way, his little nosy moves. Now, if I were to just try to manipulate it as it is, I don't have a lot of freedom because there's only 4 points on the vertices, whatever they're called. So there's only so many ways I can move the little nosy. And do you see how it's like dragging like that? There's this hitch right here. It's because the only connection between these 4 points is a very thin line, this one right here, that goes from this end to this end. So when I move it this way, it's not cute. It's not cute, it's not round, it's like, what's going on, you know? That is why I start out by outlining, right? Outlining it. Let's see. So we start out by outlining. Okay. And now I can go around the entire thing, and I try to make it as close to the shape as possible. And keep in mind, like, I'm not saying that my way is the best way of doing this either, because I don't know what the f I'm doing. So if y'all find a person to teach you this that actually knows what the f they're doing, then listen to them instead. Then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna do a line down the center. And now I hit auto connect, because these are all suggestions of where it thinks like I want points. And yeah, you know, those are fine. So I hit auto connect. Only thing is I don't like this one and that one. And now that's it. So we're gonna move it again. And this time we move the little nosy to the side again. Okay, so when he makes this movement, this X movement, his nose does this. And instead of just dragging 4 points, I can now manipulate it a lot better. Okay, that looks terrible, but you know, we're just trying to show that this is... So now his nose can do that when he turns to the side. I have a lot more freedom. All right, so did that make sense? Here we go. And then I can hit, is it reflect motion, reflect horizontally, and now on the other side, it didn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work, but there you go. He's doing something on the other side, all right. And so then you just go in and you do this for all the parts. And so like for this, And the closer they are to the shape of the object, the better. So let me show you how my art mesh looks on this character, for instance. It would take 1,000 years? No. It really, like, trust me, once you get used to it, it'll be so much easier. So then, like, this is the art mesh for the lines of the face. This is literally just the line art. A lot of people will put their line art for the face and their skin on the same layer, and maybe even their shadows. But the more you break it up, the more freedom you have to manipulate things. So if I put the line art on its own layer, then when she looks up, I can make the chin disappear, you know? I mean, like this. You see how the chin kind of disappears? In that anime way. You can't do that if you put them on the same layer. I have those all on separate layers. And then this is mine for the skin of the face, and it's very lightly shaded, but otherwise I have the actual face shadows on their own layer, which you'll see. This is the highlight. I also like to have a highlight that's only visible on certain angles, and this is the shadow. And then, so when she turns, the shadow is more prominent on one side, and the highlight is more prominent on the other side. I just think that helps to create that feeling like she's actually moving. And now the eyes is another area where I think it's like the most important to get a lot of depth. So you really want to put things on as many layers as possible with the eyes. And she can cry. I'm trying to do my expressions a bit differently, and I think they're coming out better because instead of just adding the tears like a sticker that doesn't affect anything, I learned that it's better, I think, to actually manipulate the other parts of the face, like her eyes and stuff. I just don't think my style would translate well. That's so not true. If you give me time, I could probably put together like artists who I've seen who have other styles, but that's so wrong. Because if anything, you would be in way more demand, like way higher demand, by having a more unique style. You know? Does that make sense? By having a style that's not so common for other VTubers. Anyone who tends to be like a little different, you know, they kind of get that effect on people, because it's like everyone's used to seeing the cute anime girl, or, you know, the, I don't know, the furry dog or something like that. So, well, actually furries are pretty lucrative. So if you do something that's more out of the norm, and if you're able to pull that off, yeah, you'll make a lot more money, I think. Does the software have basic poses? It does. It has basic models that you can learn from. I've seen plenty of non-anime personas. Thank you. No. Mine aren't unique. My art style is not unique. It's very anime, but I'm okay with that. And I'm definitely fine with the amount of work I do, and I don't really have to advertise either, because people are always looking for models, and they just search it up, and they kind of come to you. And my first model was terrible. And it took me 70 hours, I counted, right? To learn how to do this and do the art. So just doing the art and then rigging it, this is my first rig, it took 70 hours. And she's very simple because I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't want to go too crazy. You see? She doesn't do a lot. I'm just scared of the saturation of VTuber and VTuber artists and all. You'd think, but no, it's still not really saturated, because again, the rig artists, you're still in demand, especially a person who can do both. Like, you can maybe start out just doing the art and then learn rigging on the way, but I think taking an experimental commission is more than fine. Now I'm a lot more confident to make more moving parts and stuff like that. If you ever have questions about whether your art is rig ready, then you can let me know. You can send it to me. I don't mind taking a look. Because, yeah, a lot of artists won't really know what's rig ready their first time. It's difficult and you're gonna make mistakes. So that's why my first model was so simple, because I wanted to learn what was rig ready. And if I were to go back in time, there are things I would obviously change. Like, this torso is what the fuck. I would separate parts of her a lot more, and I would add like the back of certain things. I think I have a back skirt. I do, but it's like weird. I don't know. I just learned a lot more how things should be separated, which is also a benefit of learning to rig, is that even if you only rig one model and it's not good, at least you learn more how to compartmentalize your art. I'm assuming rigging requires math. Not really. I describe it to people as art math because it's just, that's kind of how it feels, right? Sometimes it feels like you gotta do math to understand what the fuck you're doing. But it's not actually, there's no math that's actually required. It just feels like art math. And sometimes I have to think, you know? Sometimes I have to, unfortunately, think. It's not as intuitive as just regularly drawing. Sometimes I have to walk away and think about how the fuck I'm gonna make this work. And I'm serious, this is a very lucrative field, okay? For artists. I be telling y'all all the time that y'all need to get in on it, okay? Because rigging is so much more profitable than just taking normal commissions. I don't know how much y'all charging for normal commissions, but I'm not charging like up to wazoo. But when you do rigging, especially because it's so niche, specialized, and it takes so long, you can really, every commission is gonna be thousands of dollars. At least up to 1,000, you know? If you're slow, I think this field is even better than regular commissions, because people expect things to take a long time. Like if you were to take 4 months on one commission, it's like, we know. We expected that. That's fine. And yeah, 100 to 300 is a lot, like that's a nice range for normal commissions, but still rigging will be a lot more. And if you're an artist who also knows how to rig, you're definitely in higher demand than someone who can only do one. Not that that's a bad thing if someone only does one. There are plenty of people who are super successful doing that. But if you can do both, you know, obviously you're in higher demand. I am a big proponent of artists right now learning rigging because it's just very popular. So yeah, that's my spiel.